You never know. Dat is echt jammer.
That's another day done, James. Indeed. More to the liking of the upper crust. Just relax, James. Enormous gantries and dry dock built for distinguished American financier John Pierpont. Luxury and elegance. The better sort expected is made provides it. I did. Speculating. You may have speculated more accurately than you realized. I did? I have 3, I think they said. Beats me where they find this sort of money from. That's the clever part, James. Mr. Ismay has the backing of the distinguished acting as ambassadors for the Empire. British ships built with American money. Whatever's the world coming to, it's not. More accurately than you realized. I did? I, of course, was Mr. Ismay.
Oh God, yeah.
But I thought you built British ships with American money.
Titanic na maganda.
Enormous gantries and dry dock built for a ship that hasn't even been built yet.
They put me to work on 401. That's what we called her. We knew she'd be the largest passenger ship in the world, but we didn't call her Titanic then. I was there from the beginning. I watched the ship race through the key blocks. They set big wooden blocks on the slipway to start with. Then they cut like a backbone, and the frames attached to that like a skeleton. Workshops everywhere. It took weeks to find your way around. The workshops for every trade you ever heard of. Painters, sailmakers, coppersmiths, boiler makers, cabinet makers. I even learned a bit about French policy. Every ship cost a life, and there'd be lots of injuries besides. I was in the engine works for a while. Very well equipped it was. That's where we built the triple expansion engines. 2 of them. Each as high as a 3-story house. I worked in the frame bending shop. You had heat steel beams in the furnace, then hook them onto slabs of cast iron and hammer them curved. It was skilled work. You had to bend them more than you needed because the frame straightened out a little when it cooled. The shell plates that made up the hull weighed up to 4.5 tons. They were taller than the da. The plates were overlapped on the edges. Some were raised, one after another. We called it clincher. One of the four men taught me years ago, that's how you build steel ships. I worked as a heater boy. You had to heat the rivets on a wee plate. You pump the bellows till the rivet was white hot. Then you get a hold of it with your tongs and throw it up to the catcher. And he put it in the hole in the plate with the holder up. There were two of us on the other side of the plate with the holder up. We had to hammer the rivet so it filled the hole before it turned dull red. The double bottom. That's a wee space we called the tanks, made up of steel plates. The rest of the rivet squad all had to fit into that gap. One of the four men would check each rivet with a special hammer. If it made a ringing sound, we'd have to go back and chase it out after work. I'd get scared working down in that double bottom. You only had candles for light. And the constant hammering against the shell plates. You could hear it all over Belfast. Some of those boys ended up stone deaf, so they did. We were paid 31 bob a week. The heater boy and catcher got 16 bob. But we all worked the same 54 hours. The upper deck was steel too, and part of the strength of the ship. There's no straight lines on a ship. And when you look down the weather deck, you can see the shear of the hull, the stopped reflection at sea. The stern frame had to be strong enough to take the rudder and turning in heavy seas. You'd have all these timbers and guy wires to steady the frame, and men scurrying around like ants underneath. When we came to launch day, I was torn between pride and fear. The standing wings were coated in tallow, train oil and soft soap. So the ship would slide when they shifted her weight off the blocks. That was the most dangerous part. And the shipwrights were knocking away the last props. They were under compression, you see, and the sliding wings would be released by the hydraulic trigger. One 100,000 people watched the launch. Some paid a bob to sit in the reserved seating. There were extra trams laid on. Then we all went off to the pub to wish her well. Matthew were proud to be an island on that day. And Titanic was the pride of Belfast.
Was a 300 engineer. Ireland and Wolf employed 15,000 men, each finished. Many of whom worked on Titanic over the 26 months it took to construct the hull for launch. At the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, there was a 6,000-ton structure which was over 2 engineers. Harland and Wolff employed 15,000 men at that time, many of whom worked on Titanic over the 26 months. At the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, there was a 6,000-ton structure.
Skeleton of Titanic.
It was known as the Isle of Belfast.
The framing.
Was constructed to house two massive ships that were being built for the White Star Line. The shell plates on the hull of inner and outer straits. At the bottom of the hull, plates were attached using the finger method. Each plate overlapped the previous. Every plate had to be lit in place, which was partially made. On one side of the plate, the iron rivets were heated on a 4-mil mark on the heater board. Using tongs, we drew the rivets to the catchboard and placed it in the hole with a hole drop.
এটা একটু টাইটানিকের সাইজ।
At 7 a.m., Captain Edward John Smith came aboard the Titanic to prepare for the board of trade. The boat train from London. At noon, the Titanic sounded her whistle. Almost a year of fitting out followed, transforming the massive hull into the sumptuously appointed liner described by the White Star Line as the Queen of the Ocean. By March 1912, Titanic was ready for her maiden voyage. For Belfast, the triumphant culmination of many years' planning and labor. Before she could be handed over, Titanic had to undergo sea trials. On the 2nd of April 1912, she carried out a series of maneuvers in open water under the watchful eye of Board of Trade Inspector Francis Carruthers. Then, at 8 p.m. that evening, she departed Belfast for Southampton. She was preceded by a considerable weight of expectation. At Southampton, the White Star Line had already constructed the massive deep-water ocean dock, covering almost 16 acres and dredged to a depth of 40 feet. England's premier passenger port was flourishing, with new shops, restaurants and businesses opening to service the growing passenger trade. And job opportunities on board ship and in the docks brought migrants from all over Britain and Ireland. Almost 400 of Titanic's crew lived in Southampton's northern district. A national coal strike had left several ships laid up in dock, and the prospect of a job on Titanic was a welcome relief for crewmen who managed to sign up. On April 5th, Titanic was dressed in her signal flags and pennants as a Good Friday tribute to the people of Southampton who had welcomed her. By April 10th, the ship had been fully provisioned, including 75,000 pounds of fresh meat, 40,000 eggs, 1,000 sweetbreads, and 8,000 cigars. At 7 a.m., Captain Edward John Smith came aboard the Titanic to prepare for the Board of Trade muster at 8. Around 9:30, the first passengers arrived on the boat train from London Waterloo. By late morning, all the passengers and crew were aboard, minus 2 firemen who were delayed in a public house and missed the departure. At noon on April 10th, bang on time and fully expecting to be in New York within a few days, the Titanic sounded her whistle and cast off her lines. Trade muster around 9:30, the first passenger arrived on the boat train from London Waterloo. By late morning, for Belfast, the triumphant culmination of many years planning and labour. Before she could be handed over, Titanic sank under Europe. Transforming the massive hull into the softest yet lighted liner described by a one-star line as a queen to ocean. By March 1912, Titanic was ready for the breaking point. Star line already constructed a massive 16 years on.
I was on the Olympic taxi to Hunt, helping Dr. Morgan find his favourite brand of... Refer to your book. I'll protect the set properly this time. Thing was a little rushed. Sunday morning is lifeboat drill. Up at 5 a.m, but fast enough for all that it's cancelled. The old man knows what he's doing, listen, folks. He is a fine...
Then he said, the water's up west, take the mill.
It was about midnight when I became aware that there was no hope of the Titanic. There was little or no commotion as the boats were crowded, that something prompted me to act. Strange as it may seem, when this lifeboat was built, the last boat was being filled, and I was the last one to get onto it. The water was by this time nearly on a level with it.
Down the long stairway that led from the boat deck 3 or 4 decks down. Frankly, I'm never likely to forget the sight of that cold, greenish water creeping step by step.
The ship was now stuck. Our whole trouble was in getting away as quickly as possible, otherwise our boat would be pulled down with the ship. During all this time, the ship's piano was very cheap.
Is carried away, and the funnel, weighing perhaps 50 or 60 tons. The wash of the falling funnel had evidently picked us up, raft and all, and flung us clear of the ship altogether.
When we left the ship, every star in the heavens was lights. All
Till at last, it was absolutely perfect. She vanished. Everyone around me on the upturned boat.
So, presently about She was about 750 miles east of Cape Breton at that time. And a chap named Godwin, my third operator, crushed it. So I got gracious and Titanic struck burning. Now, the SOA, and then following in this was. And then he kept that up every few minutes. As in my opinion, the judgment he was there was a problem. Yes, I'm sure they had it. There was nothing.
Look at the Titanic. It is a monstrous great boat as high as the Clarence Hotel, and I cannot tell you how long. We are going to embark tomorrow morning. It is a monstrous great boat. I am coming to America on the nicest.
This going away from home will make me a better man and try and lead a good life.
They live in Chicago, and I shall be able to make the entire trip with them.
Yes. No, I think no. Maybe yes करो. देख ली. ये भी सिर्फ a brand of purple. I don't know.
Do you know any of the answers to any of these, George? Would I pick one if you want?